Hey, welcome back to my channel. Okay, so today we're gonna start reviewing The Boys Season 4, Episode 6. This was my favorite out of all the episodes in the season so far. I mainly liked Episode 4 the best, but this is a pretty close second runner-up. I actually wasn't expecting to see what I saw this episode. I should be used to it because it's The Boys, so you're gonna see some raunchiness, but yeah, this was like a whole new level. Like, they really dipped into the deep end with this one. I liked especially like the interactions with each of the characters. I found them all to be pretty I don't know, this season just seems sassier. Like the clapbacks are kind of fresh, especially with Ashley and Sister Sage. So with Ashley and Sister Sage, I like their dynamic in a way, in the sense of like, even though Sister Sage is the smartest person on the planet, Ashley has more experience with Homelander than she does, so she knows what to watch out for, and it's kind of like that, like intelligence versus experience kind of thing. Like, sometimes the best teacher is life and experience over like basic intelligence. Like, yeah, you can read a person, but you don't know what you're really dealing with until you actually spend enough time with them to really grasp what you're dealing with, because people are a lot more complex than what they show on the outside. Even though Sister Sage is really perceptive and she was able to read Homelander down to a T when she first met him, she was still surprised at his actions and how impulsive he was, because you can't, sometimes you don't know until you know. So especially when she came into the benefit or whatever, she was surprised to see Ashley there, and then Ashley was like, oh yeah, me and Tech Knight go way back. So this kind of proves, I like this dynamic because it kind of proves that Sister Sage, you might be the smartest person, but sometimes your arrogance can get the best of you. Like, you don't know everything. Like, life is still random. Life still has surprises. And even then, she kind of had to like humble herself. She's like, and then she kind of like walked off. But she she had to eat a slice of that humble pie and realize that, damn, maybe I don't know everything. I still don't want to underestimate her intelligence. I still think that she's planning most of the stuff during this episode, like when she got shot by Mother's Milk in the library room or whatever, in the book room. I think she planned that because there was no reason for her to go up there. Like, she was literally sitting up there waiting for them. There was no reason for her to be up there unless she like actually assumed and calculated that they'll be there at that time. And she got shot. I think she knew that Mother Milk was going to shoot her in her head, because I think she uses brain damage as a way to escape from stressful situations. Like I said, she's new to being part of the Seven. She's not a veteran here, so she's not used to all the violence and stuff. Like I said, she doesn't have powers, so there's no reason why she would be used to all the violence, even though she was on like sidekicks or whatever. But that was when she was a kid. It was probably like a very watered down version of what she has to deal with now, especially with Homelander, because he's a full blown psychopath. But I think she also not only did it as an escape, I think she also did it because I think she was trying to set Newman up to kind of be on their side a little bit more, because Homelander is very intimidating, and but he tries to use threats and stuff to intimidate people to be on his side. But sometimes you get a little bit more bees with honey, that old saying or whatever. So I think Sister Sage was kind of like making her see reason through a sensible way. Like, okay, maybe if I dumb myself down and Homelander shits the bed as usual, then, Victoria will have to take lead, because I feel like she's not confident enough to take lead right now, because Homelander is breathing down her neck, and also these politicians she just, doesn't vibe with that much at all. She hates them. There was literally a clip where she like blew off her own head because she was so pissed off. I think one of them was talking about like SA or whatever, and saying like how the body was able to rejected or whatever. I think an actual congressman said that one time. So I like how the boys kind of take references from actual political. It's sad that like this is the actual political reference and not just full satire. Like, some of this is based off real stuff. But anyway, I'm gonna start off with A Train. So A Train gives intel on the location of the meetup to Mother's Milk, and then he's scared. Obviously, I think it's like the first time we actually seen A Train pretty scared for his safety, because usually he brushes stuff off, he laughs it off, or he just stays silent, keeps to himself a little bit. But especially when he's talking to Ashley. But I think this time he's like really scared, because they're actually catching on to him, and they're gonna realize with Sister Sage being there, it's harder to get away with stuff because, like I said, she can sense it a mile away. She probably already suspects A Train. But I think the reason why she didn't tell on snitch on A Train before is because she probably will have to use him for something. I think her end goal is going to be to betray Homelander because I feel like she's going to know that he's worse than almost any other human on this freaking planet because he's really dangerous and he's uncontrollable. Like Stan Edgar said, he's very insecure and impulsive. It's impossible to control that. And if Stan Edgar says it's impossible to control Homelander, and he's damn near a genius himself, and Stormfront literally said that he's a very smart person, so if he's saying that, Sister Stage doesn't really have a chance. You know what I'm saying? Like, I think she knows where her stats are, versus Homelander's in terms of strength, all those things. Like, the only thing she has on him is intelligence, but that only goes so far when you're an impulsive psychopath, because that means you can kind of snap based on anything. Even when she first meets him, she has to dance around her words and hesitate when she was about to say midlife crisis. She said midlife whatever, because she knows if she says the wrong thing, Homelander will laser you and not think twice of it, because Homelander is not that smart of a person. He's not really like I think when he has so much power, you kind of confuse it for intelligence, when really he just punches shit. Like, he doesn't really think ahead of time. Like, everyone at VOT is literally, their sole purpose is to cover for this man. So when you're put in a situation where you have to be around this person, it's like, damn, my intelligence doesn't mean shit because I'm basically playing Russian roulette with this man every single day. And especially now at the end of the episode where Firecracker had to oh god, I can't believe I said this, breastfeed Homelander. She's become the new Madeline Stillwell without the baby, of course. Right before she did that, though, she basically tried to discount Sister Sage's intelligence, saying, well, because Starlight got away, that means the mole is still out there, and Sister Sage's intelligence isn't as reliable as you think it is, like, she doesn't know anything, basically calling her dumb, and trying to make her seem as useless as possible so Homelander can kill her, or let Firecracker kill her, or whatever. Obviously, we don't know if this is going to work yet. This is the thing with The Boys, is like, the dialogue is sometimes it takes such a huge turn, is that you don't really know the ramifications of the dialogue until like the next episode or the next time they interact. Because Homelander isn't really a man of action per se. When you go back through the seasons and see the episodes, he really isn't that much of a man of action. There's very few times where he actually takes control and tries to do things on his own. He couldn't even kill Hughie. Now that episode pissed me off because Hughie was like so close to him. How do you not hear him breathing? How do you not sense his heartbeat? How do you not smell him already? Because he's right above you. Like, you don't have any senses for that, but you can sense anyone any other time that you're, I think like Homelander's powers when it comes to like detecting lies is based on, he has to like focus on it. Like, he has to assume that you're lying, or he has to like actually focus on your heartbeat in order to actually sense it. I don't think it's an automatic thing for him, because there's too many times where he like, his powers, like his lie detection whatever is just finicky at best. It's like a plot device, basically. It just runs the plot through, and it does so with Hughie, because like, how do you not kill Hughie? You're almost as fast as the speed of light. You should have been able to catch up to him. You know what I'm saying? Like, come on now. And even when he smelled the sweat, it took way too long for him to say, Campbell. Like, what are you talking about? Like, first of all, if something dropped on your clothes, the first thing I'm doing is looking up. Okay, I'm not trying to touch the little drop of sweat and then rub it against my fingers and smell it like a freaking Navajo or something. Like, I'm not trying to track a deer. It's like, you obviously can tell that he was there. Anyway, I feel like Victoria should have been like noticed that Hughie was there, because I'm pretty sure like Marie Moreau and Genevieve or whatever can detect heartbeats or whatever, but the inconsistencies of their powers is a different story. So anyway, of course, after shoots Sister Sage in the head, he gets not a heart attack, but a panic attack. I think Sister Sage did this on purpose because she brung up Janine and tried to stress him out. So even after like she shoots him, he'll be out of play. He'll have to go to the hospital or end up dead. Basically, I think she did this on purpose. It was very cold and calculated. Kimiko gets A-Train's attention by putting like a seltzer drink in his cup or whatever from like the vents. It was kind of cute the way she like waved him on, like come up here. Like, I love how The Boys is like super serious, but sometimes it's just equally isn't. Like, it's funny, but it's also kind of like life or death. But we can put a little Tom and Jerry humor here sometimes. But anyway, Kimiko has this like smart idea to like communicate to A Train using books. Because I think they early in the episode her phone dropped out of her pocket, so she can no longer communicate. So she had to use a bunch of books, and I think one of them said like she was trying to convince A Train to like save MM and take him to the hospital, and he kept saying no, and she was like, well, I can kill you easily, and he was like, try it, bitch. And then um and then she picks up a book saying for the sake of his daughter, and I was like, it literally, the whole title was for the sake of his daughter. I was like, what are the chances that he was gonna have that in his freaking books? Just, it was kind of clever. But yeah, anyway, A Train takes MM to the hospital. Starlight finally comes back after she knocked out Firecracker, because I guess she met up in the hallway, and I guess Firecracker's a whole different story. I actually kind of sort of feel bad for this character, and it's kind of like, I think she's like an allegory for like, you let your childhood traumas define you into your adult life, and you don't find ways to cope with it. It's gonna consume you, basically. Like, it really hinders Firecracker from interacting with other socialites. Well, no, I wouldn't say other socialites. She's not a socialite at all. Like, she's a social media influencer, and her demographic is basically rural America, you know, low class white people, basically. And I think this also tells a lot about, like, because, Firecracker is somewhat racist, pretty racist, or whatever. She's not as bad as Stormfront, but, she's good enough. Um, I think it just tells, like, it doesn't even matter if you're, like, talking to a person of the same race. Like, discrimination goes so far, like, against, so much further than racism. It's also like classism too, and this is like perfectly displayed with Firecracker. Like, she cannot blend in to upper class status interactions. Like, she just can't. Like, the way she eats the hors d'oeuvres, she like almost barfs it out in front of the lady. She's making a lot of noise. She's not pacing back and forth, but she kind of looks like a lost kid. She looks like a kid at a Thanksgiving function where she doesn't know what to do with herself, so she's walking back and, doing random things. Even, I think the sad part was when, like, she went up to Homelander, Sister Sage, and Victoria Newman, and she was trying to say, catch up with them and try to see how everything is going. She's trying to have a basic interaction with them, and they basically snub her. Homelander looks at her with, like, looks down at her like she's, like, a little kid, and then Sister Sage, I understand why Sister Sage hates her too, but it's like that rejection. Like, when she walked back, she's like, damn, it doesn't matter if it's a human, it doesn't matter if it's like I'm interacting with a humans, my own like race, or even with the seven people, of my caliber. It's just, it doesn't matter where I'm going. I'm just never really wanted. And I think that's so sad, especially when you see her look at her reflection in the mirror. I think it preludes to her pageant days, because, I think it reminded me of like the Euphoria episode where like Cassie went to the bathroom and she started crying. She tried to pretend to smile, and I think that's kind of like a tactic that they use in like the beauty industry. It's like you don't, just keep smiling. Don't let them see you cry. Just pretend like you're happy. Push through it. Come on, you almost got this kind of thing. Where she does it in the bathroom, and she does it for a while too, until she meets up with Starlight and almost kicks her ass because Starlight's power still doesn't work. I don't know why she keeps trying, but I hope they don't data sex machina it and like she just gets her powers like the last episode or whatever instantly. I hope that like she has a reason why she lost her powers and regains them naturally. But anyway, Starlight basically jabs her with like an injection to knock her out on the floor, and and basically she's KO'd for the night for the most part. So now it's down to Hughie, which he's going undercover into the mansion disguised as Web Weaver, which is like a reference to Spider-Man, which is kind of funny in this episode because the costume sucks. Now, this is the first costume in the boys that actually kind of like is garbage on purpose. I think the costume itself was okay up until like the head part, because it's like it looked really cheaply made. He also said it really smelled, but when he goes into the mansion, he runs to Victoria Newman again and almost gets made out. I'm surprised she didn't, like, even though Huey kind of like changed the way he spoke, he still has his own voice. I'm surprised no one really noticed him. I'm surprised Homelander didn't smell him when he was in a freaking room with all of them. I'm surprised he didn't notice anything. Anyway, Tech Knight sees Huey as Web Weaver, mistakes him for Web Weaver, and they go down to like the basement or whatever, the was supposed to be like the reference for the Bat Cave, but it's like the Tech Cave or whatever. And of course, he has a butler. I think his name is Elijah or whatever. It's supposed to be like a reference for Alfred. And his Batcave is basically like a sex dungeon, pretty much. And he even has his own old sidekick strapped up to the side of it. And he was like muffled and gagged the entire time, and I don't know like how strong the bars were, but he kept like trying to free himself the entire episode. Like every couple of minutes, you just see like the chain start to budge more and more and more, and we didn't even get to see his powers in this episode. Maybe the psychic didn't have powers like that. I don't know. Maybe couldn't use them for whatever reason. But anyway, Ashley comes down there. Well, actually, before that, Tech Knight makes him do some kinky stuff or whatever involving chocolate cake. Um, makes him fart on it. I guess he did some like erotic asphyxiation too while he was looking at Hughie. I don't know. It was really weird. Like it's gonna be so hard to describe this part because there were so many things that happened, and I don't even know what to categorize this stuff as. You're gonna have to actually watch some clips to actually see what I'm talking about. But basically, he made Hughie do all this like kinky stuff, and then Ashley comes down and says like, oh, you started without me. And this is like a side of Ashley that we saw glimpses of, but we never really delved into how depraved it is. Like she's like a dominatrix, but like she does so much other stuff. Like it's crazy. And I know this kind of like destroyed her character a little bit because now you think, oh, she's the total bad guy. But I gotta let you know, like when she was tickling Hughie and Hughie said spiderweb, she jumped in a concerning way. Like she stopped immediately and she looked at Tech Knight, and then Tech Knight says, "Oh, don't worry. If he's uncomfortable, he'll use a safe word." So Ashley was kind of thinking like, "Oh, he's okay with this," not knowing it was Hughie. She thought it was Web Weaver, but she thought it was 100% consensual because it was a prior agreement before Hughie took his identity. So, and she also stopped when Hughie, screamed out a name, but she kept going because it wasn't the safe word. Unfortunately, Hughie didn't learn the safe word. And I think she said she's like 100% a cannibal or whatever, and then she like licked his feet. It was just really graphic. Like I don't even feel comfortable like describing all this stuff. Like I think my mind's trying to block some of it out. And then yeah, like Hughie gets the trauma with Hughie, and this kind of explains the thumbnail, is like his trauma is so diminished by everyone else's like problems to the point where he's depicted as a person who doesn't really matter in the show when it comes to emotions. He's kind of like the yes man, the pawn who has to be sacrificed every episode for some traumatic BS. This episode he's basically essayed pretty much by Ashley and Tech Knight. Even before this episode, he had to euthanize his own dad. And then even the episode before that, he had to like slit someone's throat. And this is not the first time he killed someone, but still, it's like this is the first time he actually had to kill someone in hand-to-hand combat. Like it's a little bit different than just pushing a button and making someone explode. God, what am I saying? Anyway, Kimiko in this episode tries to visit Frenchie in jail, but he refuses. So that plot line's kind of said and done for this episode, for the most part. MM does make it. At the end of the episode, it's like a panic attack, but he arrives at the hospital. A-Train takes him there, but the kid looks at A-Train and sees him as like a hero, and it makes A-Train say, like, you know what? Maybe I can be a hero. I can see myself doing this. I actually saved someone for once. And this was probably his first save too, legit save. It wasn't like propped it up by Vaught at all. So that was pretty good. I felt good for A-Train. I really hope he doesn't die this season. I feel like he's going to. I feel like he might get some good punches in with I would really love to see the action scene. I feel like they're gonna like go all out for the action scene with A-Train versus Seven, because I feel like even if he's not as strong or as fast as Homelander, he could probably do some damage. Like there's probably something he could do, because like I know Homelander is really powerful, but he doesn't have that much training. He never had to really fight a lot of soups before. When you're that powerful, you're just gonna get lazy eventually. You're gonna get rusty and sloppy. You saw how easy it was for Hughie and what's the Soldier Boy in them to kick his butt the first time. But anyway, Starlight finally takes down, Kimiko takes down Tech Knight right before Tech Knight finds out that it was Hughie, and then he tries to like basically cut more holes in him to have fun with. If you know, you know. But yeah, it was kind of like, honestly, Tech Knight and Ashley did everything except for Human Centipede. Like, it's unbelievable. I feel like they probably did that before. There's probably a suit that has like Human Centipede powers or whatever. I don't know. It's the boys, man. Anything goes. You see a gigantic schlong, you can see anything, I guess. God, this is crazy. But in the beginning of the episode, Hughie does spread his father's ashes on the on like a celebrity tour guide, and obviously this is based on New York City, so I guess it was like the place he spread his father's ashes were like in front of a hotel where they filmed something of like J Lo's maid or whatever, Jennifer Lopez's maid. It was something in New York. I don't know. Um, Oh man. Oh yes, that explains. Back to Sister Sage, the most important character in this episode outside of Hughie, unfortunately. So Sister Sage is dumb now. After she gets shot by Eminem, not Eminem, MM, she goes downstairs back to Homelander. Homelander's freaking out because everyone's left. A Train left to take Eminem to the hospital. Firecracker's knocked out. Victoria's just sitting on her butt at this point. She's not really doing anything. And Sister Sage is, talking about eating candy corn in her mouth, talking about using a Sibian, if you know, you know, and then eating a bunch of cake. Acting like a little kid. They all act stupid in this entire episode. So then he basically takes the reins into his own hands, of course, because, he's Homelander, egomaniac, all in all, through and through. He basically tells them, like, oh yeah, we have to apply the 25th Amendment or whatever and take over the country, and basically asking them to do high treason. Now, he thought it was going to be a win-win. He thought he was going to use some, buzzwords or whatever with a bunch of politicians, and that's not going to work with them because they actually know how it is. They actually know. They live in reality. Like, even the old lady said, yeah, don't waste your time with the boogeyman stuff. We want to know how you're going to actually run this. Like, who's going to be in charge. And he kind of like stutters over his words. He's like freaks out. And I think at this point he's going to kill all of them. He surprisingly doesn't, because like Ryan's there. I feel like if Ryan wasn't there, then with him, then he probably would just slaughter them all, not really giving a damn. He's still impulsive though. But before he's able to do that, Victoria interrupts Homelander and says, like, democracy doesn't exist. It's just a safe word that we use to keep people safe and make them feel safe and yada yada yada. There are no nations. There's only Apple, Exxon, and Hathaway or whatever, which was, she was spitting bars kind of. And then she said, like, people are a labor force, used to be exploited, and you're billionaires. You should know what's best. Basically appealing to their dumber nature, their egotistical nature. And even though it's kind of hurts for her to say, and I think she believes a little bit of what she's saying, I think it's kind of just like she had to take the reins and take charge at this point. And Homelander doesn't like that at all because it hurts his ego, because that woman had to take charge, not just a woman, but another person different than him. Because he's used to doing all the planning and the situations and stuff like that. He used to be in the head honcho, El Jefe, of the group. He's the head of the seven, for Christ's sakes. But apparently he can never do anything on his own. He even relies on Ashley way too much, to the point where Sister Sage has to take on her responsibilities. And, they're still covering for him and stuff like that. Like, he runs the company, essentially, but he's still back in the same place he was in season 1. He's still that little boy being controlled by everyone else, being lied to by everyone else. He has no actual authority outside of his power, no actual intelligence outside of his power. Like, literally, people just do things because they're scared of you. They don't do things because they like you. No one likes you. Even Maeve told you in season 3, I've never liked you. I've always hated you. And the same thing happened with Soldier Boy in season 3 with Crimson Countess. Can't believe I remember all these names. But basically, the douchebags is like, you never really have friends where you're a certain level of douchebag because you're untrustworthy, and now you're powerful enough to kill me whenever you want. So it's like, why would I ever do that for you? Like, come on now, we're not equals. You said it yourself, we're not equals. He said it to Tech Knight this episode. We're not equals. You can't even fly, for Christ's sakes. But then he wants everyone to be his friend. He wants to be loved by everyone, but he treats people like garbage. And I guess in the season he's going to stop giving a crap because now he's trying to discard his humanity, which completely backfires when Firecracker later on in this episode tries to breastfeed him like Madeline Stillwell, and he falls for it. Like, literally shoots milk in his face. And then he reverts back to the old Homelander in season 1. I don't know if this is going to break him. I don't know what's going to happen. I think Firecracker did this because she's like super loyal. And I don't know. I think Firecracker isn't as dumb as people think she is. I think she's just a little naive, and she likes to play to her strengths. She's not used to being in different situations where she has to improvise because she probably sucks at it. But I feel like the fact that you were on medication, it was probably alluded to in I want to say the 3rd episode, that you were on medication, which means you were probably taking this I don't know. It's like, how would you get that intel that he likes breast milk? I don't understand how you would understand that about Homelander unless you researched him. Or maybe you went through his drawer too. Maybe you were in his bedroom while Atrium was there too and you just were hiding. I don't know. Hopefully we get some more information on the next episode. But this episode, man, this episode was wild. And the reason why I'm going so far in depth with this is because there was a lot that happened throughout this episode. There was so much that happened, and it wasn't just like the things that the characters did, but also it's a way that it impacts their characterization, their character arcs throughout this, this season, next season, in seasons prior. I think it's just because you're starting to see a change in people. Even Kimiko goes to the police station again to see if she can visit Frenchie or whatever in jail. I don't know if he refuses her or not, but the officer says he probably doesn't want to see you, and she writes down on a notepad, I have nowhere else to go. I think people are going to start reaching their character arcs, and I understand that a lot of people don't like this season. I don't think this season is meant to be a hype season. I think this season is a build-up for season 5. I think a lot of things are going to get resolved in season 5. I don't think it's just going to be, well, guys, we have to fight Homelander, we have to come up with all these little schemes, because Butcher's doing his thing in the background. I almost forgot about Butcher. Butcher is trying to get the Samir to kickstart not Compound V, but the virus, Virus V. We can call it Virus V, to kill Homelander. And Samir finally says at the end of this episode that I can't do it because if I were to make a virus strong enough to kill Homelander, it'll kill every other soup, which makes total sense because Homelander has the most amount of Compound V in his blood. So if it's going to kill Homelander, it will become unstable and kill the rest of the soups. Annie, Kamiko, Ryan, they're all dead. Even Butcher finally hallucinates again, sees Becca, and sees Joe this time. And Becca says, yeah, Ryan's going to die, Kimiko's going to die, Starlight's going to die if you let him make this virus. And I guess Becca's supposed to be the good side of him, and Joe's supposed to be the bad side of him. And then Joe kind of comes in like, this is what we want, or whatever. And we all knew that Joe was a hallucination, so was Becca, obviously, because Becca's not here anymore. But Joe was definitely a hallucination, just because no one really interacted with Joe. And I don't know, it just gave, I don't know, I've seen enough Batman comics to realize when someone's being manipulated through psychological means by themselves. How you're saying the right things and the most intriguing things and knowing what the other person wants all the time. You couldn't have known this unless you're in his head. And of course, because you have a tumor, it makes it a little bit more obvious that it's manifesting to something. We saw it in episode 3 where it I guess, sprung out of his body and killed Ezekiel. Don't know why I don't know why he's more concerned about that at this point, because it's like, I feel like if you have worms coming out of your body and killing people, maybe you're not in the best headspace to do this. And I get it, you have to save Ryan, but even Becca said you're kind of losing track about Ryan now, because now you're not even focused on rescuing Ryan, you're just focused on killing Homelander. You're very bloodlusted, and this was also adjacent to the comics where he becomes kind of insane towards the end. He just wants to kill just to have the sake to kill, and Homelander is a big enough enemy where he can kill and it'll be morally justified. But it's like, at what point are the lives lost not equal to the lives saved? It's kind of like we're losing way too many lives at this point. You're just killing just to kill. You're too messy to be a good person. And I don't think Butcher was ever a good person. I think he was like a medium, okay-ish person. I think Becca kept him on a leash, unironically. But now she's dead, and now you don't have that moral compass. I think the reason why he brought Hughie to the boys is because I think he needs Hughie to be that moral compass for him, because he might do something that he will regret. I think he actually needs Hughie to, reach out and say, hey, what you're doing is crazy. You need to cut it out. So, that is it for this episode. This episode was pretty fire, honestly. I don't know how Sister Sage is going to be. Hopefully she returns back to normal, because I understand that even though she got shot in the head, she regenerates her abilities, and, she gets better over time. But usually she, lobotomizes herself or asks someone else to do it. But, I don't know. I feel like a bullet to the head, it does a lot more damage, because it went, through the side. So it has, a lot more area of volume to, cover before exiting out the other side or whatever. And then you have to worry about getting the bullet out if it didn't go out the other end. So that's kind of crazy. But I'm surprised Homelander didn't, kill her right then and there. Because Homelander looked like a lost child too. I think this episode was also very telling of that just because you have superpowers doesn't make you... It doesn't compensate for the skills that you lack. Especially social skills. You can tell that these people just sink throughout the entire episode. Socially, they don't know how to vibe with each other. Most of them don't even really like each other because they don't even really talk to each other that much outside of what's going on. Victoria doesn't like any of the seven, including Homelander. Homelander doesn't even like any of the seven for the most part outside of Sister Sage. Sister Sage doesn't really like, I don't think, anyone outside of the Deep, and that's really about it. Firecracker likes Homelander, but she doesn't like Sage, and she doesn't really meld with any of the other characters. I think she's okay with A Train. I'm not sure. A Train at this point just hates everyone. Like, he's so over the team. He's so over it. He about to put his 2 weeks notice in. Ashley was about to, and then she shredded the paper. Ashley doesn't like anyone either. She tries to escape him as much as possible. We also go cut into the Deep and Black Noir. We finally see him without his mask, and he's actually pretty fine. Actually, he's like really fine. But yeah, basically Noir says, yeah, I'm done doing the Deep. I'm not, sorry, let me rephrase that. I'm done doing the seven. This gig sucks. I don't know what my character's supposed to be. I don't know how to act for this role. I don't know why you still think this is a role after you saw and did everything that you had to do and see. Homelander, after you saw everything that happened with Homelander and what he's done and what he's about, like, how do you still think this is a role that you're just gonna fit into? I just have no idea. Like, he was a theater kid at Godolkin. Ashley, or whoever is in charge of hiring suits, I think it's Ashley. You're stupid. Why would you hire someone who is a theater major to play Black Noir? Someone who is brain damaged, the IQ of, I don't want to say a vegetable, I would say a blade of grass. Someone who is completely mute, who doesn't think on his own. Like, that's just like the polar opposite of what Black Noir is. Like, come on now. He said he's going to do like go to like a circus, and I guess he can fly, which is interesting. We probably, hopefully, we can see that in the next episode. And then he says, "Yeah, I'm done with this." And then Nadik tries to give him a pep talk, saying like, "Yeah, people used to laugh at me, believe it or not." I'm like, and the way he tries to hold his mouth over his other, he like buries his top lip under his bottom lip, and it's like, wonder why. And the Deep says, yeah, I don't know either, but I realized something. Violence is power, because when I break someone's back or break someone's legs, they're no longer laughing at me. And I'm like, Deep, that's Deep has a way of lacking total responsibility for his actions. I get it. Sister Sage is manipulating you. Please, I feel like Black Noir, since you did go to college and since you did major in something, whether it be useless or not, you should have enough brain cells not to take his advice. You should have left when you had the chance. You know Homelander can kill any single one of you whenever he wants. Be so for real right now. Be so for real. It makes no sense. But I guess we're going to see it in the next episode. I guess we're building up to the next episode with the Deep and Black Noir teaming up for something. I guess we're going to find out what in the next episode. But anyway, this season so far, since I couldn't do a review of the earlier episodes this season, let's see. What did I rate this season? I think so far this season I rated a 7.5 out of 10. Only because the first 3 episodes were like a 6 out of 10 for me. The episode 4 was a 10 out of 10. That was a perfect episode. Episode 5 was an 8 out of 10. Episode 6 was like, this episode was an 8.5 out of 10. The only reason, because there wasn't that much action, and I don't know, I think the butcher plot is important, but it's kind of, you don't have to stretch it out for the entirety of the episode. Like, honestly, if you just kept the beginning clip of Butcher and then the end, that would have hit just as hard without having to put all the little middle pieces in. Because the middle pieces were just filler dialogue. Like, we get it, he's sick, he's dying, or whatever, he's getting worse. Yeah, and I wish they did something with, like, the Deep and Black Noir, too. I wish they didn't just, like, have a cutscene. I know they're probably going to be putting the next episode doing something. I just wish they were involved somehow. It would be nice to have, like, all the 7 and all the boys in one room. Even though that'd probably be hard to cast. Not cast, but, like, film. Because it's, like, what? Like, 7... Like, what, 12 characters? yeah, I guess I can be a little handful. I mean, that could be a little handful. Um, but yeah, I really do like the season so far. I think it has a lot of substance in terms of character development, and it's building the plot. It's also, I'm not gonna lie, I'm not gonna like, I'm not glazing them that hard. I do think there is some type of filler problem in this season. I do feel like there's a little too much fluff where there shouldn't be any fluff. I do like what they did with Hughie's mom in that plot arc. I know it took up some screen time, but I don't know. I feel like there's just more to her. I feel like she's going to betray Hughie because she works for Vought. And I know she works for like like a telemarketer or whatever, like a pyramid scheme type person, but like I don't know. It's just something about that. It's just she seems too innocent to be in the show. Like there's like no one on the show is that innocent. Like I'm sorry, Daphne, but come on. But anyway, this has been another review, or my first review, really. I did reaction videos before this. But yeah, please like, comment, subscribe if you have any comments or theories. Let me know. I would love to explore any of your theories, whether they're, funny, stupid, serious, or whatnot. I don't care. I'm not going to judge you. I would like to explore deeper into these theories with the boys and what they could do in the next season that diverges from the comics. So yeah, anyway, that's all for today, guys. All right, I'll see you guys later.